So we have with us Schwiz, the CEO and founder of Ebisus Bay, and myself, Texas Huddle Crow, Cronos Ambassador, here today to discuss 402 Hackathon on Cronos Chain. 402 is we call it a protocol, or is it a invention that was made by Coinbase? And crypto.com, or not crypto.com, Cronos is having a hackathon that will allow people to build products using the 402X.
Yes, X402 protocol. So just for a little context here, I think everybody is familiar with the 404 resource not found HTTP status. So I'm sure you've seen that in your time on the web at some point in your life. And back in the 90s, when they're standardizing all that, and they came up with the idea of 404 status code for resource not found, they also made one called 402, which stands for payment required. And I don't know, as far I've never seen that one be used before. And my 40 years using the internet, or 30 something years, whatever. But it was there waiting to be used, and Coinbase decided to make a protocol that leverages the 402. So anybody can make an HTTP request, and if it returns that 402 status, they added some extra kind of metadata that says basically how to pay that required payment using crypto in the return. And so that's the sort of that's what the X402 is essentially. If you make a request for a resource that requires payment, it will, if you don't send a payment with that, it will essentially return a response that explains to the server how to pay, and then you request again with the payment info. It's just a little signed transaction for the amount that you're willing to let be transferred from your wallet, and then it'll return the response. So there's a lot of kind of cool things that we could potentially do with it. And so that's the idea of the hackathon, is to let people kind of just play around with it and come up with some cool ideas in a kind of a tight time frame to kind of just showcase what they've learned about the protocol, and show some of the kind of different cool ideas you might do with it. So some of the obvious things are like paying to see, if you visit like Wall Street Journal website and you want to read an article, a lot of times you'll see, it'll say like subscription required, right? And it'll redirect you to pay like whatever, the $10 a month to access the articles. But what they could do instead potentially is just paywall individual articles with this protocol. And so if you want to view the article, it would say like, return back, hey, it costs $1 and USDC to view this article, and then the person will just sign the transaction, and then they're able to view the article.
So like kind of like Netflix, where if I don't want to buy the entire Netflix catalog, I just want to watch one episode, that would be kind of essentially what I could do with that?
Yeah,
instead of buying in bulk, I buy what I want?
Yeah, it opens up the easy possibility to do sort of micro payments for services and data and that kind of thing, rather than a big flat payment, in which case you might, like for the Netflix thing, maybe you want to watch just one. I wanted to watch the Frankenstein movie, right, that came out, and I had to buy a whole month of Netflix just to watch that. I've never used it again. I watched the Frankenstein movie, and then I haven't used Netflix again since. So yeah, that's another great example of a potential outcome if this protocol gets adopted widely. A lot more micropayments for services rather than subscriptions. So for me personally, I'd really love to see mass adoption of this protocol or something like it for these kinds of things. Another thing that we talked about, offline before we started this is like access to the X APIs. It's like something like $1,000 a month. And it really locks people out from even experimenting or playing with the APIs or doing anything interesting at all. But if they enabled that for, if they enabled X402 for access to the X APIs, then it's just pay as you go. You just, there's no waste. You pay exactly for what you use and nothing more, nothing less. For me, that's ideal. So, and that kind of brings us into when we talk about APIs, a lot of the buzz around this X402 is enabling AI agents to make requests and make payments for access to data and that kind of thing as well, or even access to AI agent models without having to pay a subscription or give your info to OpenAI or Anthropic, et cetera. You could just pay anonymously with your crypto wallet for access to these models as well, and be completely anonymous. So another really kind of interesting use case. But it's still a pretty new protocol. On base chain, I think there's roughly about 200K in volume a month with this protocol. So there's a little bit of adoption, but it's still pretty niche thing here. So we'll see if it becomes more popular.
Is it something that would be easier to do on base with their tools and then bring over to Cronos, or is it so wildly different, the language?
Well, the protocol's pretty straightforward, right? So, you make the request, it just returns the information, like what chain, what token address is accepted, and the amount that's needed to complete the request. So it's really open-ended. I think, obviously Coinbase has their SDKs for Base and Solana actually too. Just from what research I've done, because I plan on entering this upcoming hackathon, it seems, pretty straightforward to support, other EVMs especially. So there's a lot of good examples out there on the Base chain that, should be, pretty easy to bring over to the Cronos side. I think the main sort of drawback is the protocol has a special function. It requires a special function on the transfer token to work, and the USDC on Cronos doesn't have that. So we got to use some other special new USD coin. I think it's called like XUSD or something weird like that. Here's Leslie might know exactly what that new USD coin is that we're supposed to use. So
yeah, absolutely. Thanks, both. I think I can add a bit on top of the previous conversation. So basically, we have also built our version of the X402 protocol, and also have the infrastructure at the back, which called facilitator, to support it on Cronos. So basically, everything we have, settled the infrastructure for the developers. So you guys can just jump into the documentation, docs.cronos.org, and then look into the X402 section that we have like a very complete documentation for the APIs and also everything that you need in order to leverage the X402 on Cronos EVM chain. So it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, so the facilitator is another big part of this. There's a lot of I guess, moving parts to make these payments complete. And so part of this X402 protocol defines a facilitator, which essentially handles all of the payments infrastructure. And so that way the developers don't really necessarily have to worry about the blockchain, what's the word I'm looking for, logic, or essentially dealing with any sort of blockchain stuff at all outside of just creating a wallet key to sign transactions. So it really minimizes the amount of complexity to sort of jump in and build on top of this protocol. And I did have a question, Leslie. If you know, that Coinbase has several like SDKs and stuff out there. Are like facilitators going to be kind of plug and play? Because I know there's several. You know, there's the official Coinbase facilitator, but there's several other ones that have popped up that offer different, you know, on base chain, you know, that may offer different, you know, different payment coins, or I don't know what the benefit of using the unofficial facilitator is, but is it pretty easy to kind of plug and play those facilitators, you know, into the existing SDK, or should people joining this hackathon be using some kind of SDK from Cronos chain, or what would you suggest for that?
Yeah, I think it's quite straightforward, as you previously mentioned. Once we have all the APIs and stuff like that, for developers, it's actually quite easy to integrate directly to that. So we haven't really, you know, put them together in our developer SDK for now, but I think this is something that we're also planning to do. But so far, if we go to the documentation side, it should be quite straightforward for developers. And I think that's like one very good point that you mentioned, that we are trying to, you know, make the friction of integrating this protocol in particular more direct and smooth, so that developer can just, you know, pick it up and play. And then, so I think this is quite important, especially not just for regular developers, and also, you know, someone who have some of the knowledge in the blockchain domain. It is quite important to, you know, facilitate the regular merchants and seller, buyer to, you know, adopt to this one. So I think this is something that which makes the X402 thing quite fascinating.
Yeah, are there any 402 projects out there existing that have kind of caught your attention that you thought were interesting?
Yeah, I was like, also when we were organizing the hackathon, then a few weeks ago, Solana Hackathon also have closed it. So there was quite a lot of interesting project over there. Of course, I think most of the cases that we are still focusing is on the payment side. We believe that the micropayment, as previously mentioned, well, if you would like to subscribe to the XAPI, for example, is pretty painful, right? But say if you have like an AI agent, or like you have like some automation flow that you might want to get access to the XAI API, also then that could be like a way that somebody can, you know, resell the API tokens, or even like the AI token, etc., with using this X402 protocol in particular. So I think I have been looking into the winner list of the Solana Hackathon, and I think that is indeed quite a lot of interesting projects that are trying to resolve this. And of course, this is still a very, very early days for the X402 protocol. So I think there will be more interesting project incoming.
Yeah, I agree that there's a lot of potential there. So it's to me, it's exciting to see what people do with it, and I do hope that it sees a little bit of adoption in the long run. I think, you know, what are your thoughts on how it'll be used in conjunction with AI agents? I think that seemed to be at least from the Cronos Hackathon, kind of pushed as a strong example of something that the judges might want to see. I just was curious on your thoughts on that. If this is going to be kind of game changing for AI agents, or if it's really needed.
Yeah, right. I think it is quite important. So that's why we also put a special track for this in terms of like integrating with the Crypto.com AI Agent SDK, for example, and of course other Crypto.com related products. What we have observed since the introduction of AI Agent SDK earlier this year is that, okay, now we actually already have some of the capability for the AI agent to host their wallet, and then they can indeed, execute payment on behalf of the user at this stage. But on top of this one, if you would like to make a really workable scheme that allows multi-agent to do their payments, that is a bit of pain point that you can see probably, say for example, an agent claiming that, well, I have to execute this transaction, and then the other side would have to verify, right? So of course you can really do it in a blockchain way to be like, okay, this is a transaction ID, and then you can verify it on Explorer, etc. But this is still quite, blockchain native in some sense. So I think many of the listeners here probably have some of this knowledge in blockchain. Then, well, we know how to verify a transaction for sure, and then we can implement this logic to the AI agent to say, okay, I can verify this transaction in this way. But we can see that if the counterparty is merchants or something, like they are looking for another way of solution in terms of the payment, I think the X402 will be one of the very good entry point, because I think you can see that that is already some of those verification method in the facilitator that works kind of like a Web2 format, but it is widely adopted at this stage. And then you can also see that we have been leveraging the EIP 3009 to execute gasless transaction, for example, so that the host, the original source of the payment does not really have to carry on the gas, and also it might not necessary to have like gas token from that account in order to execute this transaction. So that's why I think it is actually open up quite a lot of possibility for the AI agent, the usage of AI agent, and also the AI agent SDK as well. So I think that is something that we would love to see from the developers in the hackathon as well.
Yeah. Is there going to be some resources for contestants to kind of consume? For example, if it seems to me like you kind of got to, just based on the length of the time for the hackathon, I feel like a lot of people have to kind of concentrate on either building a X402 API or consuming one. So if somebody has wants to do like an AI agent submission, are there going to be any sort of existing 402 APIs they could consume as part of this contest, or would they need to build those as well?
Absolutely. I think we have most of the API available for the existing X402 on Cronos EVM, so that should be something that very useful and can be leveraged by the developers as well. And of course, if you find anything missing, feel free to join the Telegram channel of the X402 Hackathon. You can find the link on the DoraHacks main page, and talk to us. We have our developers over there to provide you with support, and also if you have any sort of idea that you would like to discuss, feel free to talk to me directly on X or Telegram. We're here to support.
Yeah, I think like, for example, in the AI SDK, you have like the BigQuery example, but I believe that BigQuery example, to hit that BigQuery endpoint, it requires, it doesn't use X402, but it does require payments. Am I understanding that right? Or are you familiar with that example?
Oh, I think the BigQuery example is more on capturing blockchain data instead of like, getting the payments done. Yeah.
Right, but I guess my thought process here is like, if we wanted to make a submission where, the AI agent had to use X402 to pay for access to some data and then act on that data, I don't know of any existing sort of data sources out there behind X402 on Cronos chain that somebody could use.
I see what you mean. Yeah, so that is, I think there's no existing example for like, okay, I pay for this API calls also. And that's a very good point that I think we can work on one example and share in the documentation and also in the X of Cronos chain later, so that the developers and also other user is considering leveraging the X402 can reference to that example. Yeah, that's a very good suggestion.
I appreciate that. Yeah, because there's just so many things to work on. So for me, I got another couple days here before I got to decide before we officially kick off. So I was, there's so many things I want to do, but just so little time to do them all. So I guess it's a bit hard to decide.
And this is a time to leverage AI toolings to do vibe coding, to build a smaller product.
For sure. But
I had a question about the tracks.
Yeah, go ahead.
As Schwiz mentioned, there are 3 tracks. Is there a kind of a differentiation between track 1, track 2, and track 3 that you see would be easier for a novice coder to get at? Or is like track 1 just kind of like the catch-all for everything, and then 2 and 3 are just for kind of abstract projects?
Let me just quickly look at the list. Just give me a second.
I feel like so track 1 is the main track, the X402 application broad use case, whereas track 2 is agentic finance payment track or advanced programmatic settlements and workflows. I feel like anything that fit in track 2 would also fit in track 1, just from how I understand reading it. It's just like a more advanced
Yeah, I think the main track will be a bit more like universal in some sense. So it could be the case that it's not necessarily has to be interacting with AI agent. So the second track, I agree that is the second track is more focusing on the AI agent related topics to facilitate, say, like agent-to-agent payment with X402. And then the third track, which is the Cronos Crypto.com ecosystem integration. I think one of the example that we provide there is say, hey, that is the Crypto.com exchange MCP, for example, that user will be able to leverage to get market data in real time. So it could be something that we can consider leveraging and also integrating. And of course, don't forget that we also have Crypto.com on-chain wallet, etc. And that's only part of the Crypto.com ecosystem. So the integration for that is actually quite broad. in terms of the things that we can do with the third track. And for the fourth one, I think this one is a bit general in the sense that, well, it could be anything in terms of like improving the developer experience for anyone that would like to integrate with X402 on Cronos EVM, which is the best developer toolings or visualization layer. That is the fourth track.
Yeah, from what I've seen, just existing projects out there that are actually in production, I've only really seen things that are really in that sort of fourth tier of just kind of dev tooling and stuff. I haven't really seen any like real world examples yet of something running out there outside of. I guess I take that back. I did see a pretty cool. Again, it was like that kind of anonymous agent access. And that was one of the first things I thought of as well. So I guess it's kind of an intuitive first step of something you could do where you don't need an OpenAI account or anything. You just need a wallet and some USDC, and you can access. I think they had about 50 different models that you could access, and it, of course, they're all integrated with X402 data layers as well. So yeah, I really do hope to see some adoption on the Cronos chain with this stuff. I think it'd be pretty cool.
And the last question I have on my notepad is, how has been working with Dora Hacks for this hackathon, and with Dora Hacks having one of the judges in that, how will that work out? With a 5-person judge team, will they have more weight because they're an outsider compared to the members of Cronos, or is it going to be kind of like everyone gets a single vote?
Yeah, we have been working with Dora Hacks for quite a few hackathon in the past since the launch of Cronos EVM. I would have to work together with the judge later on to work on what is the exact format of the judging process of the hackathon. But I think in general that is quite equal, and of course we have many different members in the judging panel over there. We have Ed covering the ecosystem side, and of course myself with probably more on the technical side and on the developer side of Portable. And then of course we also have Tommy from the Crypto.com Capital side, and maybe more focusing on how sustainable in terms of like project of running in more on like the capital or like the VC angle as well. So I think that we have like a very round judge panel in order to provide all sort of the judging the judging parts for this hackathon as well. Yeah.
So it sounds like you're going to be mainly the dev that's going to have to explain to the other 4 what's going on. Is that kind of what is going to happen in so many words?
Yeah, I think in some of our experience of the previous hackathon is like we see some of the product is actually quite good, but in terms of like pitching in like the documentation stuff like that, it's not like quite clear what they would like to achieve. So I think it's very important that not just focusing on the tech side, of course that is the core part, but letting the judge knows what actually you would like to bring and what is like the actual pain point that we like to resolve in the project is quite crucial.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting having product and BD people as judges for a tech hackathon. But it'll be interesting to see their viewpoints, and I think it's important too, because a lot of these it may be hacked together in a few weeks, but there could be some strong potential for, a real product to come out of it. So it's definitely good to get the feedback from those people.
Yes, right. I think that some of those projects be like, okay, well, we're not trying to get a funds or like we don't have to, surf the VC side. But in the practical sense, if a project is launched and then how sustainable it is going to be, it is not feasible for one of the project to, just keep giving away credits or stuff like that. There must be certain kind of like a business model at the back to drive the project moving on and make it sustainable. So I think that angle is somehow quite important in terms of the how feasible this product when it is going to production.
Yeah, agreed. I do hope to see a few make it to production as well. I think what I write will definitely be, I'm looking more at the tooling side, so most likely we'll just put it out there as a tool set for people to build with since it's out there. Yeah, I just think there's so much strong potential. So I'm really excited to see, the different submissions come in. I'll have to take a look at the, you mentioned that there was a recent Soul Hackathon with the same theme.
Yes, right. And I think they just closed it a week earlier.
Wow, okay. So nice and fresh. So it's going on right now, is what you mean to say?
And now it's closed, so it has happened, and then I think they already picked a few winners for the Solana Expo to Hackathon as well. So I think that should be something that have a look of what's other has been doing, and to inspire the potential projects here on Cronos Hackathon as well.
Yeah, perfect.
I can't imagine evaluating 400 projects is going to not take a lot of time. And then once you do select like the few that are making it to the finals, will there be any forward-facing evaluation that the Cronos users can see or vote upon, or is it going to just be back end with the judges?
I think that will be the later case, but I think that we can think about like, wow, it's more like a community voting, right? As you may suggest in the early case, but I think that is quite interesting. And then of course when the product is going into production, you will get a vote from the community very directly of like whether someone has been using that product at the end.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. But 400 submissions is quite a bit. So if we had to wait for a community of Crow fam to vote on 400, it'd probably go into the years of waiting. So maybe not too practical. But I assume even though 400 people have signed up, not everybody will make it to the submission deadline. I assume is how these things go, but I don't know for sure.
Absolutely, more is better, of course. So for the listener here, in case if you haven't joined the hackathon or even have not joined any of this hackathon before, I think that the AI toolings right now is quite powerful. So if you have an idea, maybe just connect that to your cursor or something like that, and trying to build some of those like smaller product and see if that is working, and if that works, and maybe you can also submit the project to the hackathon site, so that we can we can see what's happening over there, and we'll love to see more projects to join this Expo to Hackathon as well.
Yeah, now's really the best time for anybody to get in and try vibe coding and see if you can come out lucky and win some money. So it used to be you had to have a really strong technical background to even have a chance. But I really feel like with today's AI, I think really anybody with enough patience could put together a pretty strong submission.
And then once you've made your final selection as the winner, they don't immediately get all that money, right? They have to do some steps to draw from it. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, I think that would be a milestone base. So especially for the first prize, it is sort of kind of like continuous payment for a year for 2K USD per month. So that will be something that we would love to continuously supporting the project, and of course trying to work together with the project to achieve their milestones so that the actual product can be running in a substantial manner.
I also saw that some of the projects could get possible grants, access to AWS services, and other benefits, even if they're not the winner. That there are some like secondary supports.
Absolutely. So we have a partnership with AWS announced earlier this September to provide support to the developers, especially on the AWS side, very directly on with the credit. So we will be, looking at the potential project and, provide support to them. So of course, in case if you some existing project, etc., that interested into this partnership project that we have with AWS, feel free to reach out to me, to Ed and Mirko as well, so that we can provide you with the support.
That's great. I'm sure that AWS stuff isn't cheap. So any support for these builders on Cronos is, I'm sure, appreciated.
I get anxiety every time that AWS bill comes every month.
I'm all out of questions. Schwiz, thank you so much for doing this for us. And thank you, Leslie, so much for coming up and, giving some insight from the judge's perspective. Any last words?
Yeah, it's wonderful. Happy to be here, and thanks for having me. I think it's quite clear that we have everything implemented of the XO2 on the Cronos side. So feel free to go to the documentation to have a look. That should be everything that you need. In case if you need any sort of additional support, feel free to jump into the Telegram channel that we have for this XO2 hackathon, so that we have the developer over there to support you. And so I think to wrap it up, just join this hackathon and then enjoy the journey to build together on Cronos EVM.
I actually did have another question for you, Leslie, since you're here. I saw somebody asking this in the Telegram as well. I don't think it got an answer yet, but somebody was looking for how to get the USD coin on the testnet for testing. I think is it USDX or something like that?
Yeah, how did you know that I'm actually just replying to that message? So is we are building a full set for this one. Should be rolled out in like 1 or 2 days, so it will facilitate that. Of course, I'm trying to get some of those like test token to to distribute in the channel as well, so that developer can start leveraging that.
Okay, and is the mainnet token already deployed, or is it still need to be deployed?
Yeah, we have, because it have to stick to the EIP 3009 standard. So we have one token there on mainnet that is supporting this. So in particular, I think I can share it later in the channel with like a token contract address also. So on VVS, I think they already have like a pool over there. So of course, well, it just for testing purpose, right? So you can, swap a small amount on mainnet, and in order to, if you would like to deploy everything on mainnet. And of course, take a step back if you want to deploy your own token in the EIP 3009, it is also feasible on mainnet testnet as well. In case if anyone's struggling with that, feel free to drop a message in the Telegram channel so that we can provide support.
Okay, yeah, I don't think the token is whitelisted on VBS. Maybe that's on purpose there. So yeah, it'd be helpful to get the contract address so we could get a little bit of the mainnet token as well. But I assume there'll be a much larger pool, I'd hope soon, so that production apps could launch with X402. All right, I'll take that thumbs up as a yes. Okay. All right. Well, I guess nothing else to cover on the X402. Definitely, if you're inclined to try some vibe coding or building, you got 2 more days to register. So I'd encourage everybody to go and throw their name in the hat here and register and try to put something out. But if there's nothing else, we can take questions. Feel free to request the mic. Otherwise, we'll just wrap it up.
I don't see any questions in the chat, and there are no requests to come back up. I plan to take this space and turn it into a video with some subtitles and make it accessible for anyone. And I actually hope to try to use AI to help me with that, as I've seen push the button using AI to give a really nice write-up of spaces. I don't know if anyone knows how to do that, but I pinged Has-Been, so I'm going to see if I can pick his brain.
Cool. Looking forward to that. All right. Well, let's wrap it up. Everybody have a great evening. Thank you so much, Leslie, for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you up here, and I appreciate your help, over the years and working with you. So thanks so much, man.
My pleasure as well. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Leslie's the GOAT. Seriously. GOAT of Cronos. No one knows him, but he's the GOAT.
Makes it all run. All righty. Well, everybody have a good evening or a good morning to you, Leslie, and we'll see everybody later.
Catch you later.